All right, hello again, folks. This video I want to go over my use case for the CassetteFlow system, and brief explanation of the CassetteFlow system is essentially the way to get one of these vintage reel-to-reel or tape decks to simulate playback of high fidelity digital audio. And there's another video which I went over how this is technically done, so this one I'm just going to focus on my use case. So a couple years ago, I kind of got back into vintage cassettes, and as such, I went on eBay. I bought my first component unit and stuck a tape in there, and you know, let's just say the audio quality certainly wasn't the best. And more research and you know, trying to figure out why this is the case kind of indicated to me that if you want to get great audio from cassettes, you have to use mid to high-end equipment that has been professionally serviced and high bias tapes. Both these things take effort and, more importantly, take money. And for me, this is a hobby, so it's something I didn't want to spend much money on. So in order to get into great analog audio, what I ended up doing was just switching to Hi-Fi VHS, and that gives you know, excellent analog audio for a fraction of the cost for high-end tape deck. However, I still love the look of these vintage reel-to-reel and audio cassette decks from the 80s. So, you know, they all have their own kind of visuals, design, and that's something we just don't see today in any electronics. All electronics today is just pretty much back then. You know, you could tell that engineers were feeding the design of these things quite a bit. So I still wanted to enjoy the visuals and also the physical interface of these things for audio. So I came up with the whole CassetteFlow system, which essentially just encodes the playlist on either the reel-to-reel or audio cassette, and then either the computer or a Raspberry Pi or one of these audio boards decodes it and then plays back the either MP3 or FLAC file at whatever specific time is on the tape. This works pretty well. Again, there's a video that explains in more detail how why is this useful to use CassetteFlow. Is because all these decks and this reel-to-reel, they all mechanically work, and for most part the VU meters and all the lights work. However, when it comes to audio quality, it's clear that there's something amiss, and that's just due to the age. I think this age this is from 1979, and I think the youngest deck I have is probably from 1993. So you're talking somewhere, close to 30 to 40 years old. And within that time frame, electronics are going to go bad. There's certainly things go out of spec, and to get that fixed it would cost time and money. I have zero interest in doing that, because again, if I want great analog audio, I just go to these Hi-Fi. The good thing about this CassetteFlow approach is that no matter if I'm playing the audio back on this one, the reel-to-reel, or it's playing the cassette on this one, that one, or whichever one, it's gonna sound the same, because effectively the audio is being played from either the MacBook or the Raspberry Pi or the audio board. It's the same file that's being played. So it's just a way to give these components, this vintage audio equipment, this approach more life to them, the best of both worlds. So you have the physical interface and the visuals of this vintage equipment, and you have the hi-fi audio from the MP3s or FLAC. There's no modification that's done to any of these decks. You record and you play back exactly as you would. The only difference is that you use the specific software to encode and decode whatever the information that's being placed on the reel-to-reel, or it's just a great way to still admire these pieces of history, really. All right, so quick overview how the recordings are made. We have the audio, just like an MP3 player. we have the audio files all listed here. These are MP3 or FLACs. And then the main difference from MP3 is that the interface is specifically designed to account for the limited size of audio cassettes or reel-to-reel. So you select how the length, and then you drag the songs over and on the A side and the B side. And up to that point, if I just wanted to record the analog audio onto the tapes, it's just a matter of pressing one button. If I want to now encode the playlist onto the tapes, then I just press another button. On the playback now, if I'm playing back one of these encoded tapes, again, you play it back exactly as you would any analog cassette. The only difference is that I'm running it through the Mac or the Raspberry Pi or through the audio board, the output from the tape decks, to decode it and then play back